So this is one of the last videos in my video segment, and this is going to be covering what we can and can't eat, or kind of how to shift away from the standard diet that we have that relies on meat and dairy. The last few videos have been covering why meat and dairy are bad for our health, bad for our environment, and how they became a key part of our lifestyle. This video is going to kind of talk about how we can break away from that lifestyle and kind of normalize our diets to be healthier, better for ourselves, and better for the environment around us. The really big thing is reducing meat and dairy in whatever way that you can. Do it. The big thing is reduce and replace. A lot of people who kind of transition away from meat and dairy, the most common mistake is going straight to vegan, which is a complicated process and incredibly difficult for your body to handle, especially if you grew up on meat and dairy. So the biggest thing that you can do to kind of maintain a healthy diet is reduce slowly the amount of meat you're eating. Whether that means instead of buying beef burgers, you're buying veggie burgers or turkey burgers, and kind of breaking away from that habit, whether it's if you're throwing a barbecue offering vegan and vegetarian options. There are plenty of kind of companies that are making plant-based foods that you can eat. There's Beyond Beef and Impossible Foods, where they make meat items out of plants, and they're incredibly good, they're incredibly healthy, and most of them taste just like meat. So if you can, I highly suggest you kind of check those out and start that transition. There's also a ton of burgers that you can eat and that you can make at home that are entirely plant-based. This is really helpful for me and useful for me, and I've kind of really started to transition away from hot dogs and away from burgers. I've cut out beef and pork entirely, but that was possible because my mother did, and so I did as well. And the second part is replace. A big mistake that people will make is trying to find replacements that taste like meat. And that's where Impossible Foods and Beyond Beef come in. They make plant-based options taste like meat. But a lot of people that I've spoken to, they've talked about how if you go into a plant-based or vegan diet expecting for vegetables to taste like meat, you will always be disappointed. So it's really a matter of kind of rethinking the way that we eat, rethinking what we expect out of our foods, and kind of cutting meat out of our day-to-day diets. Now, this isn't always possible. It isn't always possible for a lot of families, but if you can kind of make those small switches, cutting out beef, cutting out pork, especially using soy milk or almond milk or cashew milk instead of cow's milk, those are really great steps into reducing your meat consumption and adopting a much healthier diet. Now, if you want something more structured, there are a few diets you can follow. The most suggested one is the Mediterranean diet, because it allows you a lot more flexibility and allows you to eat a lot of what you usually do. You can still eat fish and eggs. What it does is it cuts out most chicken, it cuts out all beef, all pork. You have a much healthier diet. There's an interesting study that was done that looked at the bones of Roman gladiators. And Roman gladiators fed entirely on a Mediterranean diet. They were some of the best cared for in the empire. They had strong bones, great immune systems, strongest muscles, suggesting the Mediterranean diet is actually really good for us. The second diet is vegetarian, which is fairly self-explanatory. You can still consume dairy and eggs, and you're just cutting out all meat. And the third and most serious is vegan, which again is not possible for a lot of people, not possible for a lot of families and communities for various reasons, which I will go more in depth in the next video. But if it is financially possible for you and you're looking to explore, it is a great option. I tried veganism for a little while and it didn't work out just because I didn't have the right foods and I didn't have the right preparedness to do it. But what I ended up doing was kind of creating my own kind of vibe, kind of just step by step cutting out meat wherever I could. Like I said before, I cut out beef and pork because my mother did as well. And so what I've done is whenever I eat out, I try to eat vegan or vegetarian options. At home, we don't drink cow's milk anymore unless it's ice cream, because that's my weakness. But it's about kind of making these really small steps into a much greater picture. I've discussed the impact that meat has on our environment, that it has on our health, and the bottom line comes down to we cannot survive if we continue to eat meat and if we continue to eat dairy at the rate that we are. And making these really small steps that can lead up to a greater picture is incredibly important. And if you can afford to, try out those new options. It's about seeking kind of new flavors and new palettes and profiles that you might not have had before. Personally, I think it's a lot of fun to kind of try new things, and taste new flavors that I didn't have before. I did make this video much less formal because this is a topic that is really difficult for some people to talk about, and it's really difficult to kind of adopt because it's requiring a total change in the way we live our lives. And it doesn't have to be a super difficult topic. When I originally started talking about this, I turned a lot of people off by saying you have to go vegan, which you don't. But it's really about making these small changes that will have a massive impact on our environment, and looking up diets and trajectories that will work for you. If you can't follow a specific diet, that's totally fine. But there are hundreds and hundreds of places that will talk about how they manage to switch to a more sustainable diet. Mediterranean, vegetarian, vegan are just three of many. There's options that talk about switching from day to day, so eating vegan one day and eating whatever you want the other, changing meals, so making breakfast vegan, which is easy for me because you make a smoothie, or something like that, or like cutting out one item at a time, so cutting out dairy first and cutting out beef, whatever you want. It's really kind of what fits for you and what fits for your style, and realizing the importance of taking care of our bodies and taking care of our environment in any small way that you can. I think that this is really interesting because this is kind of the only way that you can make a really big difference in really small actions. And I think that's what a lot of people are looking for, is how can I make a big difference and a big impact on our environment or on my own health with small changes, and this is it. It's saying I can make a small change every day in what I eat to cut down on land use, water use, food use. It's a way that we can solve different social barriers, a way that we can solve environmental barriers. So do some research, look up different ways that you can transition to a healthier, more plant-based diet. Look up different items, because there are hundreds and hundreds of items out there that you can check out. Many of them are incredibly affordable. I will also be providing a few links down below that will give you more affordable options for vegan items, whether it's stores, locations, or specific meal items or specific meal plans that I found. It's a big step, but it's one that is incredibly worth your time and that you can potentially make a lot of fun out of. So I suggest it. Give it a try, and do not give up on it. It's for our health, it's for your health, it's for our environment, and it's for a future. Thank you so much for watching.